Admiral Zexthan of the Korthak Empire stared at the holographic display showing the human homeworld. Earth hung in space like a blue-green jewel, seemingly defenseless and isolated. The massive Korthak fleet surrounded the Sol system, 3,000 warships representing the combined military might of 17 different alien species. This was supposed to be the final blow that would end humanity's defiance once and for all. Status report, Zexthan demanded, his four arms working at different control panels simultaneously. All fleet groups are in position, Admiral, his tactical officer responded. The humans have only 47 ships defending their system. Their technology is primitive compared to ours. This should be a simple extermination. The Korthak had been fighting humans for 3 years now, ever since first contact had gone horribly wrong. The Galactic Council had offered humanity a choice: submit to Galactic Authority and accept classification as a Tier 7 species, or face annihilation. The humans had chosen neither. Instead, they had declared their independence and begun what the galaxy called the Terran Rebellion. What should have been a quick suppression had turned into the galaxy's worst nightmare. Human ships appeared where they shouldn't be. Human tactics defied all military logic. Human soldiers fought with a ferocity that terrified even the most warlike species. Worse still, humans had a disturbing habit of winning battles they should have lost. The breaking point had come 6 months ago during the Battle of Proxima Station. A single human destroyer had somehow infiltrated a Korthak supply convoy and destroyed 12 cargo ships before vanishing. The cargo those ships carried was enough food and medicine to supply an entire planet for a year. When the Galactic Council demanded an explanation, the human response had been broadcast across every communication channel in known space. "We warned you," the message began. It showed a middle-aged human woman in a simple military uniform, standing behind a podium marked with Earth's flag. "We asked for peace. We offered trade and friendship. You responded with demands for our submission and threats of extinction. Every action we have taken has been in defense of our right to exist as free beings." The woman's eyes seemed to bore through the camera. "We know you see us as primitives. We know you believe we are weak because we refuse to bow to your authority. You are wrong on both counts. We are giving you one final chance to reconsider your position." The message had been dismissed by the Galactic Council as human arrogance. How could one small planet threaten a galaxy-spanning civilization? The decision was made to end the human problem permanently. Every major military power contributed ships to the massive fleet now surrounding Earth. "Admiral," the communications officer called out, "we're receiving a transmission from Earth." "Put it through," Zexthan ordered. The same human woman appeared on the main screen. Behind her stood representatives from what appeared to be every nation on Earth, dozens of different humans in various military uniforms. The symbol of the United Earth Defense Force was prominently displayed. "I am Secretary General Sarah Chen of the United Earth Government," she began. "I address you now not as subjects seeking mercy, but as free beings defending our home. You have come here with the largest fleet ever assembled, convinced that overwhelming force will break our spirit." She paused, and Zexthan noticed something unsettling in her expression: not fear, but pity. "You still don't understand what you're dealing with," Chen continued. "For the past 3 years, we have been patient. We have shown restraint. We have given you countless opportunities to recognize our sovereignty and withdraw. You have interpreted this mercy as weakness." The tactical display suddenly lit up with alerts. Sensor operators across the fleet began reporting impossible readings. Ships that shouldn't exist were appearing throughout the system, not just around Earth, but scattered across every planet, asteroid belt, and space station in Sol. "What is this?" Zexthan demanded. "Unknown contacts, sir," his sensor operator replied, panic creeping into his voice. "They're everywhere. Thousands of them. They're using some kind of stealth technology we've never seen before." On the screen, Secretary General Chen smiled sadly. "You see, we've been preparing. While you spent 3 years throwing your best fleets against our outer colonies and patrol ships, we've been building. Every human ship you destroyed taught us something new about your technology. Every battle you won gave us data about your tactics. Every world you forced us to abandon brought us closer to this moment." The holographic display now showed the true scope of what was happening. Human ships were materializing throughout the solar system in numbers that defied belief. Not hundreds, not thousands, but tens of thousands. Ship designs that appeared in no intelligence report. Weapons signatures that registered off the scale. Fleet formations that shouldn't be possible for a species that had been spacefaring for less than a century. This is impossible, Zexton whispered. No single planet could build such a fleet. You made the mistake of judging us by your own limitations, Chen said, as if she could hear him. You see a single world and assume a single manufacturing base. You forget that humans have spread across dozens of systems in the past century. You forget that we are not just one planet, but one species united by a common cause. The display zoomed in on some of the newly revealed human ships. They were massive dreadnoughts that dwarfed anything in the Galactic Council's arsenal. But more disturbing were the smaller ships. Fighters and corvettes that moved with impossible speed and agility. Support vessels that seemed to phase in and out of normal space. Furthermore, Chen continued, you have failed to understand the most important fact about humanity. We do not fight merely to survive. We fight to protect what we love. When you threaten our children, our families, our way of life, you do not face desperate defenders. You face a force that will stop at nothing to preserve what matters most. Zexton's communication officer looked up with terror in his eyes. Sir, we're detecting massive energy buildups from the human fleet. Their weapons are charging. All ships, defensive positions. Zexton ordered. Prepare for no, Chen's voice cut through the chaos on the bridge. You will listen to what I have to say. This is Earth's final ultimatum to the galaxy. Any further assault brings total annihilation. Not just for your fleets, but for every world that contributed to this invasion force. The human ships remained motionless, their weapons powered but not yet firing. It was a demonstration of discipline that sent chills through every commander in the galactic fleet. We know where you come from, Chen said. We know the locations of your homeworlds, your colonies, your industrial centers. We have ships in position throughout the galaxy, ships you cannot detect, weapons you cannot defend against. This is not a bluff. This is a promise. The display shifted to show star charts. Dozens of systems were highlighted, the home systems of every species in the galactic fleet. As they watched in horror, new contacts appeared on the charts. Human ships, positioned near every major population center. How long have you been planning this? Zexton asked the screen, though he knew no answer would come. Shen seemed to read his thoughts anyway. From the moment you first demanded our submission. Did you think we would simply accept extinction? Did you believe we would face annihilation without ensuring those responsible shared our fate? The bridge fell silent except for the hum of electronics and the increasingly frantic reports from sensor stations. The galactic fleet, which had seemed so overwhelming just minutes before, now appeared small and vulnerable against the vast human armada that had materialized around them. You have 1 hour to withdraw from this system, Chen announced. Return to your homes and never again threaten human space. Any ship that remains after that deadline will be destroyed. Any world that launches another attack against humanity will be reduced to ash. This is not a declaration of war, this is a declaration of consequence. The transmission ended, leaving the galactic fleet in stunned silence. For several minutes, no one spoke. The tactical displays continued to update, showing more and more human ships as they dropped their stealth systems. The numbers climbed past 50,000, then past 100,000. Admiral, the communications officer finally spoke, we're receiving messages from our home fleets. They report human ships in their systems as well. They're requesting immediate reinforcement. Zexton felt something he had never experienced before, true helplessness. The Korthak Empire commanded the respect of 1,000 worlds, but now his mighty fleet was outnumbered 10-1 by a species they had dismissed as primitives. Sir, what are your orders? His tactical officer asked. Zexton stared at the display showing Earth. The small blue world seemed to mock him with its apparent serenity. Somewhere on that planet, humans were going about their daily lives, working, learning, loving, while their defenders held the galaxy's most powerful fleets at bay. Open a channel to the fleet commanders, he said finally. When the communication links were established, Zexton found himself looking at dozens of his peers, the greatest military minds the galaxy had to offer. He saw the same expression on every face that he felt on his own, the dawning realization that they had gravely underestimated their enemy. The situation has changed, he began, struggling to maintain his composure. The humans have revealed capabilities far beyond our intelligence estimates. We must reassess our position. Reassess? Admiral Corinth of the Vegan Confederacy snarled. They're bluffing. One planet cannot threaten an entire galaxy. Look at your sensors, Corinth, Zexton replied wearily. Does this look like a bluff to you? The other commanders fell silent as they studied their own tactical displays. The human fleet continued to grow as more ships dropped their stealth systems. Weapons that registered energy signatures beyond anything in galactic databases. Ship designs that suggested technological capabilities decades ahead of anything humans should possess. How is this possible? Admiral Tvoss of the Reptilian Alliance asked. Our intelligence networks are extensive. How did we miss such a massive military buildup? We missed it because we weren't looking for it, Zexton admitted. We assumed human industrial capacity was limited to their known colonies. We assumed their technology was inferior to ours. We assumed they would fight like the other species we have conquered. He gestured at the tactical display. These assumptions were wrong. The humans have been preparing for this confrontation from the beginning. They have turned their entire civilization into a war machine, and they did it without us noticing. Admiral Vextar of the Silicon Collective spoke up. Even if this is real, we cannot simply withdraw. The Galactic Council's authority is at stake. If we retreat now, every species in the galaxy will question our supremacy. And if we stay, Zexton countered, we may not live to see another dawn. The debate continued for several more minutes, but Zexton could see the outcome in his fellow commanders' eyes. Fear was replacing bravado. The reality of their situation was becoming impossible to ignore. As the hour deadline approached, more human ships continued to appear. The tactical computers had stopped trying to maintain an accurate count. The number had become meaningless. The humans clearly had overwhelming superiority in both numbers and technology. Admiral, his communications officer reported, were receiving withdrawal orders from multiple homeworld governments. They're reporting human ships holding position near major population centers. Zex then nodded grimly. The human strategy was becoming clear. They weren't just threatening the fleet, they were holding the entire galaxy hostage. Any attack would result not just in military defeat, but in the destruction of billions of innocent civilians. All ships, he broadcast to the fleet, prepare for withdrawal. We return to our home systems immediately. Sir, his tactical officer asked quietly, what do we tell the Galactic Council? Zex then looked one last time at the human homeworld. Earth continued to spin peacefully in space, its blue oceans and white clouds unchanged. But everything else had changed forever. We tell them the truth, he said. The humans have won. The emergency session of the Galactic Council convened in chaos. For the first time in 3 centuries, representatives from every major civilization sat in the Great Assembly with genuine fear in their eyes. The massive chamber, built to hold delegates from 500 worlds, buzzed with panicked conversations in dozens of languages. Chancellor Mordhack of the Galactic Council called for order, his ancient voice echoing through the hall. The reptilian leader had governed galactic affairs for over 60 years, but never had he faced a crisis like this. Reports flooded in from across the galaxy, human ships appearing near every major world, weapons locked on population centers, demands for immediate cessation of all hostile actions against humanity. The situation is clear, Mordhack announced, his voice heavy with exhaustion. The humans have demonstrated capabilities far beyond our projections. They have positioned ships throughout our space, threatening retaliation against any further aggression. We must decide our response. Senator Clix of the Trade Federation stood first. The insectoid diplomat's mandibles clicked nervously as he spoke. This is unacceptable. How can we negotiate with terrorists? If we submit to these threats, our authority becomes meaningless. Terrorists? Ambassador Yenna of the Centauri Republic laughed bitterly. They warned us repeatedly. They offered peaceful coexistence. We chose war. Now we complain when they demonstrate they can win it? The chamber erupted in arguments. Some delegates demanded immediate retaliation, others called for negotiation. A few suggested total mobilization of galactic forces to crush the human threat once and for all. General Thorvac of the Militarist Coalition slammed his massive fist on his desk. We have 14,000 warships scattered across known space. The humans cannot have ships everywhere. We can, General, interrupted Dr. Solani of the Pacifist Alliance. Perhaps you should review the latest intelligence reports before making such declarations. The holographic display activated, showing star charts of known space. Red markers indicated confirmed human ship positions over 300 systems across the galaxy. The pattern was impossible to ignore. Every major trade route, every military installation, every population center of significance was under threat. How many ships would this require? Asked Senator Vrax of the Mining Guild. Admiral Corvesh, the Council's military advisor, studied the data carefully. Conservative estimate? At least 50,000 vessels. Possibly more. We're not dealing with a small insurgency anymore. The humans have built a fleet that rivals the combined might of the entire galaxy. The chamber fell silent. The implications were staggering. Humanity had been spacefaring for less than 2 centuries, yet they had somehow matched the military production of civilizations that had existed for millennia. This is impossible, declared High Priest Zothik of the Divine Order. No single species could accomplish such a feat. There must be deception involved. The sensor readings are confirmed, Admiral Corvesh replied. These are real ships with real weapons. Our fleets are reporting genuine lock-on signatures from human targeting systems. If this is deception, it's beyond anything we've ever encountered. Ambassador Chen Wei appeared on the communication screen. The human diplomat looked tired but determined. She had been requesting an audience with the council for months, only to be repeatedly denied. Now, suddenly, everyone wanted to hear what Earth had to say. Honored delegates, Chen began, I bring greetings from the United Earth government and an offer of peace. The irony was not lost on anyone present. The same government they had tried to destroy was now offering them peace while holding weapons to their throats. You call threatening billions of innocent civilians an offer of peace? Senator Klix demanded. Chen's expression remained calm. We have made no threats against civilians. Our ships are positioned near military installations and government centers. The same targets your fleets were prepared to bombard on Earth. The same targets you have attacked on our outer colonies for 3 years. What do you want? Chancellor Mordhak asked directly. Recognition of human sovereignty over our claimed territories. An end to all hostile actions against human ships and colonies. Establishment of formal diplomatic relations based on mutual respect rather than attempted subjugation. The demands seemed reasonable, but the context made them unprecedented. No species in galactic history had successfully negotiated with the Council from a position of superior military strength. And if we refuse? Asked General Thorvac. Chen's expression hardened slightly. Then, you will face the consequences of your choice. We have given you every opportunity to resolve this peacefully. We will not give you another. Senator Urix of the Crystal Consortium leaned forward. How did you build such a fleet without our knowledge? Our intelligence networks monitor every major shipyard in known space. You monitored the shipyards you knew about, Chen replied. Human expansion into deep space began over 50 years ago. We have established industrial facilities and systems you don't even know exist. While you debated how to handle the human problem, we were preparing for every possible outcome. The revelation sent another wave of shock through the chamber. The galactic maps they had relied on for centuries might be incomplete. Human space could extend far beyond the systems they controlled officially. Dr. Solani of the Pacifist Alliance seeks recognition, announced the Chancellor. The elderly humanoid scientist stood slowly. Ambassador Chen, your people have demonstrated remarkable foresight and capability. But surely you understand the position you've put us in. The Galactic Order has maintained peace for hundreds of years. How can we simply overturn established hierarchies? Chen's voice softened slightly. Doctor, with respect, your Galactic Order has maintained peace through the threat of overwhelming force against weaker species. When we refused to submit to that order, you attempted genocide. The hierarchy you speak of is built on the principle that might makes right. We are simply applying that principle more effectively than you expected. Admiral Corvesh interrupted. What guarantees can you provide that human expansion will not threaten other species? The same guarantee you provided us, Chen replied. None. The difference is that we have no interest in conquering other worlds. We want to explore, to learn, to trade, to exist as free beings. Your response to our existence was to demand submission or death. Our response to your aggression is to ensure our survival by any means necessary. The debate continued for hours. Some delegates argued for continued resistance, others for immediate capitulation. A few suggested compromise solutions: partial recognition of human territory, limited autonomy under galactic oversight, gradual integration into existing power structures. Chen listened to each proposal with patience, but her responses made clear that Earth's position was non-negotiable. Complete sovereignty or continued conflict. No middle ground, no gradual transitions, no face-saving compromises. During a recess, private communications flew between delegates. The reality of their situation was becoming undeniable. Multiple civilizations reported human ships maintaining position near their homeworlds. Weapons remained powered but not aimed directly at population centers, a show of restraint that was somehow more threatening than open aggression. High Admiral Voss of the Korthak Empire, fresh from the Sol System humiliation, provided sobering testimony about human capabilities. Their ships use technology we don't understand. Stealth systems that render them invisible to our sensors. Weapons with energy signatures beyond our scale measurements. Ship designs that suggest industrial capacity we never suspected. Could this be alien technology, suggested Senator Vrax? Perhaps humans have formed alliances with unknown species. We considered that possibility, Admiral Voss replied. But the ship designs are distinctly human. The tactical patterns match human thinking. The communication protocols are human-derived. This is not alien technology, this is human innovation applied on a scale we failed to anticipate. Chancellor Morthak called the session back to order. The debate had revealed a painful truth: the galaxy's leadership had no good options. Military resistance would likely result in unprecedented destruction. Negotiation meant acknowledging human equality, something that challenged the fundamental assumptions of galactic civilization. Ambassador Chen, the Chancellor began, your position seems to be that we must choose between recognition of human sovereignty and mutual annihilation. That is correct, Chancellor. Though I would phrase it differently. You must choose between peace based on mutual respect and war that no one can win. Senator Klix stood again. And what happens to galactic authority if we surrender to these demands? What prevents every ambitious species from following your example? Chen smiled sadly. Senator, you seem to believe that galactic authority derives from the consent of the governed. It does not. It derives from superior military force and the threat of extinction for those who resist. We have simply demonstrated that your force is no longer superior. The truth of her words settled over the chamber like a heavy blanket. For centuries, the galactic order had been maintained through carefully managed intimidation. Weaker species submitted because resistance meant destruction. The humans had broken that pattern by building the strength to resist successfully. Furthermore, Chen continued, other species have been watching this conflict carefully. They have seen human colonies burn. They have witnessed your attempts at genocide. They have also seen our response. Do you really want to send the message that the only way to gain respect in this galaxy is through superior firepower? Dr. Solani nodded thoughtfully. The ambassador raises an important point. How we resolve this crisis will determine the future of galactic civilization. We can choose to evolve beyond the might makes right paradigm, or we can escalate to a level of destruction that serves no one. General Thorvak scoffed. You speak of evolution as if morality matters in interstellar politics. The strong survive, the weak submit or perish. This is the natural order. General, Ambassador Chen replied, that philosophy led you to attempt our extinction. How did that work out for you? The silence that followed was deafening. Every delegate understood the implication. The natural order the general described had produced a situation where the galaxy's most powerful military alliance was being held hostage by a species they had dismissed as primitive. Chancellor Morthak rose slowly. We will recess for deliberation. When we reconvene in 6 hours, this council will vote on recognition of human sovereignty. All delegates are advised to consult with their home governments during this period. As the session ended, private conversations filled the chamber. The human fleet remained in position throughout the galaxy, patient but unmistakably present. For the first time in galactic history, a species had successfully challenged the established order and lived to negotiate the terms of their victory. Ambassador Chen remained at her station, calmly reviewing documents while chaos swirled around her. She represented not just Earth, but a fundamental shift in galactic power dynamics. The age of unquestioned council authority was ending, whether the delegates admitted it or not. The 6-hour recess would determine whether the transition happened through recognition and reform, or through the destruction of everything the galaxy had built over the past millennium. The choice belonged to the Council, but the power to enforce their decision now clearly belonged to humanity. The vote was scheduled for noon, Galactic Standard Time. Across known space, governments held emergency sessions while human ships maintained their silent vigil. The message was clear: humanity would wait for the Council's decision, but not indefinitely. Admiral Sarah Martinez stood in the command center of the UES Defiance, Earth's newest and most powerful dreadnought. The ship hung in space beyond the edge of the Sol system, cloaked and monitoring galactic communications. Around her, the bridge crew worked with quiet efficiency, tracking the movements of both human and alien fleets across dozens of star systems. "Admiral," reported Commander Jackson from the communications station, "we're receiving status updates from all theater commands. All human fleets remain in position and ready." Martinez nodded, her eyes never leaving the tactical display. As the commanding officer of Earth's Deep Strike Fleet, she had spent the last 5 years preparing for this moment. The ships under her command were not just weapons, they were symbols of humanity's refusal to bow to galactic tyranny. "Any word from the peace negotiations?" she asked. Ambassador Chen reports the Council is still in recess. Several delegates are pushing for military action despite the circumstances. Others are advocating for immediate capitulation. Martinez frowned. Even with overwhelming superiority, humans couldn't afford to underestimate galactic determination. Cornered animals often fought with desperate fury, and the Galactic Council represented dozens of species with nothing left to lose. The door to the command center opened, and Dr. Elena Vasquez entered. The small, elderly woman looked out of place among the military personnel, but her presence commanded immediate respect. As Earth's lead xenobiologist and former ambassador to the Council, she understood alien psychology better than anyone else in human space. "Doctor," Martinez greeted her. "What's your assessment of the situation?" "Complicated," Vasquez replied, studying the communication intercepts scrolling across the displays. "We're dealing with species that have never faced a genuine existential threat. For most of them, the idea of losing to humanity is incomprehensible." "Pride can be a dangerous thing," Martinez observed. "It's not just pride, Admiral. Their entire worldview is built on the assumption of their own superiority. We're not just threatening their territory or their government, we're challenging their fundamental understanding of reality." The tactical display updated with new information. Several alien fleets were regrouping near their homeworlds, while others seemed to be dispersing to defensive positions. The pattern suggested confusion rather than coordinated strategy. "Ma'am," called out Lieutenant Torres from the sensor station, "we're detecting unusual activity in the Arcturus sector. The Vegan Confederacy is moving their entire home fleet." Martinez moved to Torres station. "Where are they headed?" "Unknown, Admiral. They've gone dark on all communications. Long-range sensors show them breaking orbit from Vega Prime and heading for deep space." Dr. Vasquez joined them at the sensor station. "This could be significant. The vegans are among the most militaristic species in the Council. If they're moving independently, it suggests the alliance is fracturing. Or they're planning something desperate," Martinez replied grimly. "Lieutenant, get me a priority channel to Admiral Chen in the Sol system." Within minutes, Martinez was speaking directly with Admiral Rebecca Chen, sister to the ambassador and commander of Earth's home defense forces. The family resemblance was strong, but where Ambassador Chen projected diplomatic calm, Admiral Chen radiated military precision. "Sarah," Admiral Chen's voice came through clearly despite the massive distance. "I assume you're calling about the vegan movement?" "Among other things. What's your read on the overall situation?" "Volatile. We've got human ships holding position near 17 major worlds, but alien fleets are starting to move unpredictably. Some are pulling back to defensive formations, others are advancing toward our positions." Martinez studied the galactic tactical display. "Any signs of coordinated action?" "None that we can detect. The communications intercepts suggest the Council members are acting independently now. Central authority appears to be breaking down." This was both good and bad news. A fractured enemy was easier to defeat, but also harder to negotiate with. Earth needed the Council to vote as a unified body, not fragment into dozens of separate conflicts. Admiral, Dr. Vasquez interjected, may I suggest we're seeing the inevitable result of authoritarian collapse? When centralized power faces an existential threat, the coalition often breaks apart as each member prioritizes their own survival. Doctor's right, Admiral Chen agreed over the communication link. We may need to prepare for individual negotiations with each species rather than a single council decision. The implications were staggering. Instead of one peace treaty, Earth might need to negotiate dozens. Instead of facing one coordinated enemy, they might face multiple desperate opponents acting independently. Ma'am, Commander Jackson called out, priority message from Ambassador Chun. The council session is reconvening early. Something's happened. Martinez activated the main communication screen. Ambassador Chen appeared, but her usual composure showed signs of strain. Behind her, the council chamber was in obvious chaos. Admiral Martinez, Admiral Chen, the ambassador began, the situation has deteriorated rapidly. 3 council members have withdrawn from the session entirely. The Vegan Confederacy has issued its own ultimatum, they're demanding the immediate withdrawal of all human forces or they'll begin attacking civilian targets. The bridge fell silent. Attacking civilian targets was a line that hadn't been crossed during the entire 3-year conflict. It represented an escalation that could lead to the very genocide Earth was trying to prevent. What's our response? Admiral Chen asked. Ambassador Chen paused before answering. The President is conferring with the Joint Chiefs now. We may need to demonstrate that such threats are unacceptable. Martinez understood the implication. A demonstration would require action against vegan forces, which could trigger the galaxy-wide conflict they were trying to avoid. Admiral, Dr. Vasquez said quietly, may I make a suggestion? The vegans are known for their warrior culture. They respect strength above all else. Perhaps we need to speak in a language they understand. What do you have in mind, Doctor? Challenge them directly. Single combat, fleet engagement, whatever they consider honorable. Show them that human strength isn't just about numbers or technology, it's about the willingness to fight for what we believe in. Martinez considered the proposal. It was risky, but it might provide a way to resolve the crisis without massive casualties. Ambassador, she said, addressing the screen, is single combat something the vegans would accept? Chen's expression brightened slightly. Actually, yes. Their culture has strong traditions of trial by combat. If we could defeat their champion in single ship engagement, it would carry enormous weight with their leadership. Who would represent humanity? Admiral Chen asked. Martinez looked around her bridge. The question hung in the air as every officer understood the implications. This wouldn't just be a battle between ships, it would be a symbol of human determination and capability. I'll do it, Martinez said simply. Admiral, Commander Jackson protested, the Defiance is our most advanced ship. We can't risk losing it in single combat. Commander, we can't risk losing this war because we were unwilling to take chances. The vegans respect courage. They need to see that humanity doesn't just have superior technology, we have the heart to use it. Dr. Vasquez nodded approvingly. It's the right decision, Admiral. The psychological impact will be enormous, regardless of the outcome. Ambassador Chen spoke from the screen. I'll propose the challenge to the vegan delegation. If they accept, we'll need to establish the terms quickly. The rest of the council is watching this situation very carefully. The next hour passed in a blur of preparations. The vegans accepted the challenge with surprising enthusiasm, apparently viewing it as an opportunity to redeem their honor after the humiliation it stole. Their champion was Admiral Corinth, the same officer who had initially dismissed human capabilities. The engagement zone was established in neutral space between human and vegan territories. Both fleets would withdraw to observation distance while the single ships fought. The outcome would determine the vegan response to human sovereignty demands. Martinez stood in her ready room, reviewing the tactical specifications of Admiral Corinth's ship. The VCS Retribution was a traditional vegan heavy cruiser, massive, heavily armored, and equipped with powerful plasma weapons. In conventional terms, it outgunned the Defiance significantly. But conventional terms no longer applied. Human ship design had evolved during 3 years of asymmetric warfare. The Defiance incorporated technology and tactics that no alien force had encountered. "Admiral," came Commander Jackson's voice over the intercom, "all stations report ready. We're approaching the engagement zone." Martinez returned to the bridge, taking her position in the command chair. Around her, the crew worked with focused determination. They understood the stakes. This single battle could determine the future of human civilization. "Long-range sensors show the vegan ship approaching from the opposite vector," reported Lieutenant Torres. "Admiral Corinth is broadcasting on all frequencies, challenging us to honorable combat." "Open a channel," Martinez ordered. Admiral Corinth's reptilian features appeared on the screen, his 4 eyes blazing with warrior fury. "Human Admiral, I am Corinth of the Vegan Confederacy. You dare challenge the might of a civilization that has conquered 1,000 worlds?" "Admiral Corinth," Martinez replied calmly, "I am Sarah Martinez of Earth. We don't seek conquest, only the right to exist as free beings. If you're determined to deny us that right, then, yes, I dare challenge your might." Corinth's expression shifted to what might have been respect. "You speak with courage, human. It has been too long since we faced an opponent worthy of our strength. When I destroy your ship, I will ensure your sacrifice is remembered. And, when I defeat you," Martinez countered, "I hope you'll remember that humans fight not for glory or conquest, but for the simple right to live free." The communication ended, leaving the 2 ships alone in space. Around them, at safe distances, human and alien fleets watched in silence. The outcome of this single engagement would echo across the galaxy for generations. "All weapons powered and ready," reported the tactical officer. "Engines at full capacity," added the navigation officer. Martinez took a deep breath. Everything humanity had worked for, everything they had sacrificed, came down to the next few minutes. "Engage," she ordered. The Defiance leaped forward, beginning a battle that would determine the fate of 2 civilizations. The VCS Retribution opened fire first, massive plasma cannons erupting in brilliant streams of superheated energy. Admiral Corinth's strategy was typically vegan, direct assault with overwhelming firepower designed to end the fight quickly. But the Defiance was not where the plasma bolts struck. "Quantum displacement successful," reported Lieutenant Torres. "We shifted 3,000 kilometers to 6 months after the Battle of Neutral Space." Ambassador Chen stood in the newly constructed diplomatic station orbiting Earth. Through the massive observation windows, she could see ships from dozens of different species docking at the facility. What had once been humanity's greatest fear, alien visitors to their home system, had become a symbol of hope for the future. The station itself was a marvel of cooperative engineering. Human construction techniques had been combined with alien technologies to create something entirely new. Crystalline spires from the Silicon Collective provided advanced computing power, while Centauri bioengineering had created living walls that purified the air naturally. It was a physical representation of what the galaxy could achieve when species worked together rather than fought for dominance. "Ambassador," her aide Marcus Rivera approached with a tablet, "the morning briefing is ready. We have 17 new species requesting membership in the Terran Confederation, 3 trade disputes to mediate, and the formal signing of the Proxima Accords at 1400 hours. Chen smiled as she reviewed the schedule. The Proxima Accords represented the formal dissolution of the old Galactic Council and the establishment of new governing principles based on species equality and voluntary cooperation. It had taken months of careful negotiation, but the results exceeded humanity's wildest hopes. "Any word from the former Council worlds?" she asked. "Mixed results," Marcus replied. "The Korthak Empire has officially joined the Confederation, along with the Reptilian Alliance and most of the minor powers. The Vegan Confederacy remains independent but has signed non-aggression pacts. Only the Divine Order and a handful of extremist factions continue to reject any cooperation with human authorities." Chen nodded. The transition hadn't been entirely smooth. Some species struggled to adapt to the new reality where military might didn't automatically translate to political power. Others had embraced the changes so enthusiastically that they risked losing their own cultural identities in the process. The communication panel chimed, indicating an incoming priority message. Chancellor Mordhack's aged reptilian features appeared on the screen. The former head of the Galactic Council now served as the Confederation's interim administrator, helping coordinate the massive governmental restructuring taking place across known space. Ambassador Chen, Mortak greeted her with what passed for a smile among his species. I bring news from the Outer Rim territories. The last of the Council loyalist forces have agreed to stand down. Admiral Corvesh has formally surrendered his fleet and requested asylum on Earth. The news was significant. Admiral Corvesh had been one of the most vocal opponents of human independence, commanding the military forces that had bombarded several human colonies during the early stages of the conflict. His surrender marked the end of organized resistance to the new galactic order. Will we grant his request? Chen asked. President Harrison has already approved it, Mortak replied. The Admiral will be relocated to the Colorado facility where other former Council officials are being housed. He'll have the opportunity to participate in the reconciliation process if he chooses. The reconciliation process was perhaps humanity's most ambitious post-war initiative. Rather than executing or imprisoning their former enemies, Earth had established rehabilitation centers where war criminals could work to understand the impact of their actions and contribute to peaceful reconstruction efforts. It was a radical departure from traditional galactic justice, but early results were promising. How are the integration efforts proceeding? Chen asked. Better than expected in most cases. The Centauri have completely restructured their government to match Confederation principles. The Mining Guild has established worker cooperatives on all their major installations. Even some of the more stubborn species are beginning to see the benefits of cooperative governance. Chen walked to the observation window, watching a massive transport vessel from the former slave systems approaching the station. The ship carried refugees from worlds where forced labor had been the norm for centuries. Finding new homes and purposes for millions of displaced beings was one of the Confederation's greatest challenges. What about the Free Colonies Coalition? She asked. Mortak's expression became more serious. That's more complicated. Commander Zara's people have been remarkably helpful in establishing the new order, but they're struggling with internal divisions. Centuries of oppression have left them with conflicting ideas about how to use their newfound freedom. The door to Chen's office opened, and Dr. Elena Vasquez entered. The xenobiologist had become one of the Confederation's most important cultural advisors, helping species navigate the psychological adjustments required for peaceful coexistence. Dr. Chen greeted her, perfect timing. We were discussing the coalition's integration issues. It's to be expected, Vasquez replied, settling into a chair near the window. These species have lived under authoritarian rule for generations. Suddenly, having the freedom to make their own choices is overwhelming. Some are paralyzed by options, others are making extreme decisions just because they can. The challenges were immense, but so were the opportunities. For the first time in galactic history, hundreds of species were working together as equals rather than in hierarchical power structures. Trade relationships were developing based on mutual benefit rather than exploitation. Scientific cooperation was accelerating discovery in ways that none of the old empires had achieved alone. Ambassador, Marcus interrupted, we have an incoming transmission from the Deep Space Survey Fleet. Admiral Martinez reports they've made contact with a previously unknown civilization. Chen activated the main communication screen. Admiral Martinez appeared, broadcasting from the bridge of her exploration vessel. Behind her, the bridge bustled with activity as her crew analyzed data from their latest discovery. Admiral, Chen said, what have you found? Something remarkable, Martinez replied. We've encountered a species that achieved interstellar travel independently but remained isolated by choice. They call themselves the Watchers, and they've been observing galactic civilization for over 1,000 years. The implications were staggering. A species that had remained hidden while watching the rise and fall of galactic empires could provide perspectives that no other civilization possessed. What's their reaction to recent events? Dr. Vasquez asked. Cautiously optimistic, Martinez answered. They've been waiting for what they call the time of awakening, a period when galactic civilization would evolve beyond conquest and domination. They believe that time has arrived. Chen felt a chill of excitement. The Watchers might hold knowledge and wisdom that could help the Confederation avoid the mistakes that had plagued previous galactic governments. Are they willing to share their observations? She asked. They've agreed to send a delegation to the diplomatic station. Their representatives should arrive within the week. Admiral, they've hinted at information that could help us understand why every previous galactic civilization has eventually collapsed into warfare and oppression. The conversation was interrupted by an urgent alert from the station's traffic control. Chen activated the emergency channel to find Captain Torres, the station's security chief, looking concerned. Ambassador, we have a situation developing in Docking Bay 7. A group of refugees from the former slave systems are refusing to disembark. They're demanding to speak with you personally. Chen sighed. Such incidents had become increasingly common as word spread throughout the galaxy that Earth was offering sanctuary to oppressed beings. The station processed thousands of refugees daily, but resources were limited and tensions sometimes ran high. I'll be right there, she told Torres, then turned to Dr. Vasquez. Doctor, would you accompany me? These situations often require cultural sensitivity. They made their way through the station's corridors, passing beings from dozens of different worlds. The diversity was remarkable: crystalline entities that communicated through light patterns, gaseous beings contained in environmental suits, and humanoid species with adaptations for countless different worlds. It was a living example of what the galaxy could become when differences were celebrated rather than feared. Docking Bay 7 was in chaos when they arrived. Nearly 200 refugees from various species had barricaded themselves in their transport ship, refusing to follow standard processing procedures. Captain Torres briefed Chen on the situation as they approached. They're not hostile, Torres explained, just terrified. Many of them have never experienced freedom before. The idea of choosing their own destination is paralyzing some of them, while others suspect this is some kind of trap. Chen boarded the transport ship, Dr. Vasquez close behind. The interior was cramped and poorly maintained, typical of vessels used to transport forced laborers. The refugees huddled together in family groups, their faces showing a mixture of hope and terror. An elderly humanoid with scarred skin and cybernetic implants stepped forward as their apparent leader. Are you the human ambassador? He asked in heavily accented standard. I am, Chen replied gently. My name is Ambassador Chen. What can I do to help you? We have heard stories, the being said, his voice shaking. Stories that humans offer freedom without price, that you seek nothing in return for sanctuary. These stories cannot be true. Nothing in the galaxy is free. The pain in his words was heartbreaking. These beings had lived their entire lives under systems where survival required constant payment through labor, obedience, or suffering. The concept of unconditional help was literally inconceivable to them. I understand your fear, Chen said, sitting down to bring herself to the refugee's eye level. You've been told lies your entire life, that freedom must be earned, that safety comes only through submission. But those lies were told by those who profited from your suffering. She gestured to the other refugees. Look around you. See beings from dozens of different worlds, all seeking the same thing you are, the chance to live without fear. We don't offer freedom because we want something from you. We offer it because freedom is the natural right of all thinking beings. Dr. Vasquez stepped forward, activating a small device that projected holographic images. The refugees watched in amazement as scenes from Earth appeared: humans working together, children playing in parks, families gathering for meals. This is what we're fighting to protect, Vasquez explained. Not just for ourselves, but for all beings who desire it. The choice of how to live, where to live, what to believe. These choices cannot be taken away or sold. They belong to you by right of being alive. The elderly refugee stared at the images with tears forming in his eyes. And if we choose to leave? If we decide your ways are not for us? Then, you leave, Chen said simply. With our blessing and enough supplies to reach whatever destination you prefer. Freedom means nothing if it's not freely chosen. The refugees looked at each other with wonder and confusion. Several began asking questions in their native languages, while others simply wept at the realization that their suffering might truly be ending. Over the next hour, Chen and Dr. Vasquez worked with station personnel to address each refugee's concerns individually. Some chose to remain in the Confederation territories, others requested transport to free colony worlds, and a few asked to return to their homeworlds to help liberate others still trapped in bondage. As the refugees disembarked and began their processing, Chen felt the weight of responsibility that came with Earth's new position in galactic affairs. Every decision humanity made, every policy they implemented, would be watched and judged by countless other species. It's working, isn't it? Dr. Vasquez asked as they watched families being reunited with sponsors who would help them adjust to free life. It's beginning to work, Chen replied carefully. But we're still in the early stages. The real test will come when we face our first major crisis as a confederation. When resources become scarce, when species disagree about fundamental principles, when the easy solutions run out. A communication from Earth interrupted their conversation. President Harrison appeared on Chen's personal communicator, looking tired but determined. Ambassador, the president began, I have news about the Watcher delegation. They've provided us with preliminary data about galactic civilization cycles, and it's both fascinating and disturbing. I need you to return to Earth immediately for a special briefing. Chen felt a mixture of excitement and apprehension. The Watcher's knowledge could provide crucial insights into building a sustainable galactic civilization, but their observations of previous failures might also reveal challenges that humanity hadn't yet considered. I'll depart within the hour, she told the president. As Chen prepared to leave the diplomatic station, she took one last look at the bustling activity around her. Ships from former enemy worlds docked alongside vessels from Earth's allies. Refugees found new homes while diplomats negotiated trade agreements. Scientists from different species collaborated on research projects that none could have completed alone. It was messy, complicated, and imperfect. Conflicts arose daily, misunderstandings caused delays, and cultural differences sometimes seemed insurmountable. But it was also voluntary, hopeful, and growing stronger each day. The human experiment in galactic governance was just beginning. Whether it would succeed where others had failed remained to be seen. But, for the first time in galactic history, all thinking beings had the opportunity to shape that future as equals. Earth's final ultimatum had ended with not just human survival, but with the birth of something entirely new, a galaxy where freedom was not a privilege to be granted by the powerful, but a right to be protected by all.